Okay. Hello. Oh, okay. There we go. Took a second. All right. I hope you can hear me and that I'm not coming across too loud or too soft. I played around with some mic settings, and the reason why this took me a little longer than anticipated. Also, if you hear any background noise, it's my dog. She's here to join me. The reason why this took a little longer than I thought is because I was playing around with some lighting. As some of you may know, I have these smart bulbs that work with my Echo, and I had them set to colors, and it was coming across very badly on camera, which really bummed me out. So we're just doing boring things today. Also, this is the first time I've ever uh, been live from here, from this setup. So I guess that's exciting. Anyway, things that I've been doing. A couple weeks ago, I went to Boston for a baby shower. You might have seen me post about some of that on Twitter. It was quite an ordeal with the airport, uh, literally, but I mean, it was fine. It was just very frustrating. So basically, like, I got to the airport. I thought that I was going to be on time. I have TSA pre-check, so hi, Tony. I have TSA pre-check, so that means that I can just like kind of walk right through for the most part. Like I don't have to take off my shoes. I don't have to put my bag in the or my laptop rather. I don't have to take it out of my bag and put it separately in the bin and blah blah blah. So I get to the airport. I already checked in online. I need to check my bag. And the line, well, first off, we didn't know where to go. So where I live now, the closest airport is like a little tiny, like regional airport that says it accepts international flights, but I don't know where the heck they're coming from. Anyway, so we get to the airport, don't know where to go, park at departures. Realize when we go inside that it's for American Airlines. I was flying Delta. This airport is not familiar to us, so we found Delta. The line to check in at the desk was just awful. Now, my flight is going to board in like 20 minutes. So I went outside to the curbside guy, checked my bag curbside, and then I went in and I went through TSA. Now, my flight was boarding at this time as I was going through TSA, and because if you guys don't know, I'm visually impaired. I need help at the airport. Like I can't see the signage, so I don't know where to go for my gate. So I asked a TSA agent if there was anyone to assist me to my gate. And she said, "Oh, you're going to have to sit down and wait over there while we figure something out." And I understand where she was coming from, but at the same time, I was very stressed and it wasn't her fault. But I told her, I was like, "Look, my flight is boarding like right now. I don't have the capability of sitting and waiting for assistance." So, of course, there was a TSA agent to walk with me to my gate. And the whole time, they were telling me about TSA Cares, and to this day, I don't understand why. This was, like, a couple of weeks ago, like, 2 weeks ago or something that I left. I left on the 1st. So, TSA Cares, for those of you who don't know, because I learned about it a while ago, is, like, assistance that you have to call for ahead of time, but only through going through the TSA process. Like, it's only for security screening. If it's like if you're a person with a disability, if you can't take off your shoes or if you can't like, if you need, like, specialized help during the screening process, they'll assist you. I didn't need that. I just wanted somebody to walk with me to my gate because I can't see the signs. And I mean, whatever. Like I said, there was somebody who took me there. She was very nice, but the whole time she was telling me about TSA Cares, and I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, this is not what I need. But I, of course, nodded along with her, like, a considerate person. And then I get on my plane, and I get to my layover, which is at LaGuardia. I have to change terminals at LaGuardia. So there was a guy waiting for me with a wheelchair, of course, because why not? He's waiting at the bottom of the jet bridge, so, like, he's right there when I get off the plane. He so there was a bit of a language barrier, but he insisted on me sitting in the wheelchair only to go to the top of the jet bridge because he didn't wanna leave it there at the bottom, like, where the plane was. And I told him I didn't need it, and I don't understand his logic, like, why he couldn't have just wheeled it up empty, and he was not having anything that I was saying. I was like, "I really don't need the wheelchair, I can walk next to you, I'm fine." He didn't wanna hear me. So one of the flight crew, I think it was, like, the co-captain or something, like, one of the guys from the flight, not a flight attendant, he looked like he was one of the captains or something. He was, like, right there, and he literally told the guy, he was like, "She wants to walk, just leave it here, just go." And the guy listened to him. Um, so I had to change terminals at LaGuardia, which involved a lot of walking and getting on a bus, to the next terminal. The whole time, this man who's my meet and assist is like barking orders at me. And for some reason, he wanted me to stay in like the middle of the hallway with him, which I thought was really weird because typically when you're walking, it's like cars, traffic kind of goes like one way and traffic going the other way goes the other way. So ideally, I, was trying to stay more toward the right side of the hall. And I don't know, it was just a long ordeal. So I got to my gate. They upgraded my seat on my flight to Boston from New York, to Comfort Plus, which is like extra legroom and the seat is like a little wider or whatever. So that was nice. I get to Boston and I need to go to baggage claim. Now, Boston, like the Boston Logan International Airport is very big. It's an international airport. There's like 5 or something terminals. Uh so I don't really know how to get to baggage claim from where I get off the plane. They had already in the system that I needed a meet and assist. The meet and assist was not there when I got off the plane, which is typical. That's fine. So one of the employees came over to me, I think 3 or 4 times, as I kind of just stood there after the side, and she was like, "Oh, we called him. He's on his way." Blah blah blah. And whatever. He ended up getting there. I can't remember if he had the wheelchair or not. And then we went to baggage claim. I met up with my aunt who had come in to meet me at baggage claim. And this meet and assist guy was so unsure of leaving me with her, which was really weird. Like he just stood there and kind of like stared at us for a few minutes and then he left. I don't know. It was just so bizarre. And then on my flights back, um, so I get to Boston. I'm, waiting, blah, blah, blah. They upgrade my seat again on the flight to New York because, of course, I have a layover at LaGuardia again going home. Um, so that was fine. I get to LaGuardia. I don't have to change terminals this time, which was great. I have to go one gate over. So, me, in my mind, I'm like, okay, great. I know where I have to go because I got off. Um, I was going to the same gate that I was departing at when I went to Boston, and the gate that I was arriving at was, like, right next door. There was, like, a bathroom and a cafe in between the 2 gates, and all of these major airports now have, like, maps for the most part that you can access online. Like, I was looking at it on the Delta app, so I knew how to get to my next gate. There was a meet and assist lady at the bottom of the jet bridge with the wheelchair, of course, and so whatever, I put my carry-on bag in the wheelchair so I didn't have to carry it, and then, I had to use the restroom. She followed me, not followed, she guided me into the restroom. Now, I told her, I was like, "I don't like, please wait out in the hall." She guided me into the restroom, stood outside the stall, like, while I was in there, and then, like, guided me to the sinks. It was so weird. Like, I understand that people try to help and they mean well and they're doing their best, but I I kind of I don't know. Um, I just and the guy at my layover the first time, the guy, like, from the first layover, he flagged down a female airline employee who was also going into the restroom and asked her to help me, and I was like, "I don't need assistance. Bathrooms are easy to navigate." Just now tuning in, what have I missed? Hi, Delaney. You have not really missed anything. I'm just ranting about my airport experience. I flew up to Boston 2 weeks ago from today, actually, and got back last week, like a week ago from Wednesday. Hi, Kayla. And so I'm talking about that. So basically, my layover coming home, I was waiting at my departure gate. I sat down. The lady left me, the meet and assist lady. Of course, she left the wheelchair there because my carry-on bag was still like sitting in it. Everybody at the gate gets a notification on their phone that our flight has been delayed by an hour and we have to change gates. Hi, Jasmine. Um, so I I'm panicking because I don't know where this gate is. And, the map well, the map on my phone was not really helping, and I was stupid, and I didn't bring a phone charger. I forgot my phone charger at home. I didn't think to take the extra one from my aunt's. So my phone was running low on battery. I did not have an extra iPhone charger, and I was not about to pay $40 for one at the airport, which I know would have been the most logical thing to do, but whatever. So anyway, I look over, there's this man who's like another passenger on this flight. Because him and a few other people were talking about how we had to do the gate change and it was delayed and blah blah blah. So I asked him if he wouldn't mind if I walked with him to the next gate. And I explained that I have residual vision and I can see and blah blah blah. I just can't see the signs. So like I just need to follow someone. He was like, okay, cool, no problem. This random meet and assist lady shows up out of nowhere, a different one, not the first one, but a different person. Immediately, like 2 minutes not even after I asked this other passenger whenever he was ready to get up and go cuz we had time. She's like, "Let's go to the gate." And I'm like, "Oh." So we go to this gate and I don't know if this is typical of airports in general because I never noticed, but at LaGuardia, where the gate agent is above them, like on the wall behind them, there's a screen like at each gate that shows like what flight is leaving, like the flight number and where it's going and all that, and like what like the next flight is in the queue. So, for example, when I was waiting for my first layover going to Boston, the gate that I was at was being used to board a flight to South Carolina, I think, but then, like, right below that on the screen, like, and I used my phone to, like, zoom in, like, as a magnifier to read this, but, like, on the queue, it said, the next flight was to Boston. So this one, on my layover coming home, said it was going to Maine, which was not where I was going, but obviously, it hadn't been updated because the departure time and all that was, like, had passed. So there's no gate agent there, like no one. So I asked this family because the meet and assist lady confirmed with me like multiple times, like what gate I had to go to. So I asked this other family who was there at the gate. They were like waiting for another flight leaving from like an adjacent gate, like one of the gates next to it. I was like, hey, is this like this gate that I'm supposed to be at? And they were like, yeah, are you going to Maine? And I was like, no, but I just want to make sure that this is the gate number, like that I am at this gate. And I was. So I'm sitting there, blah, 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 passing some time. I had my switch, I had my phone, it was fine. So, still no gate agent. Eventually, a flight attendant sits down next to me. um, like one of the flight attendants from the flight that we were going to be all getting on. And now, keep in mind, a bunch of flights were delayed because that's been happening a lot recently. And in the time that I was sitting there, because I was sitting, like, facing where the gate agent was, there have been, like, 4 or 5 different people coming up to check and see where the gate agent was because there was none. And so finally, a gate agent shows up, like, 20 minutes before we're supposed to start the boarding process, logs into the computer, that takes time. Finally, the screen had been updated. By this point, also, the flight had been delayed another hour. So, the flight was delayed a total of, like, I would say maybe 2.5 ish hours. By the time we left but by the time we were leaving New York, I would have already been home. Um, so that was really frustrating. But anyway, the gate agent shows up. This line of like 15 or 20 people forms, obviously, because everybody missed their connecting flights. Because, the flight that we were getting on, a lot of people probably had connections out of my home airport, and they all missed them because this flight was really delayed. So, the flight showed up at the time that we were originally supposed to start boarding, like, when they delayed it. So, it showed up at around 7-ish or something. I don't know. I was texting my cousin throughout this whole ordeal. Let me see if I can get those messages up. But it shows up, obviously, the whole flight deplanes, and they have to service it, obviously, which, like, they have to clean it, and that's fine. But so we're sitting there. We finally start the boarding process. It takes forever to get everybody on this plane. It's a full flight. They keep telling people that they can't, like, because of the size of the plane, because it was like a little plane. The overhead bins can only fit, like, a certain amount of bags, and let's see, the plane we're taking off just got here. When did I send this? Okay, I was wrong. The plane that we were supposed to get that arrived, it got there at 6, but by the time we left, it was, like, 7 or something. I don't know. Anyway, so the, people who had carry-ons, obviously, a lot of them couldn't put them in the overhead bins. So then, they had to give them the little tags to check them at the jetway and pick them up at the jetway or whatever, or have them checked to their final destination. It took so long to board this plane. I do not understand why. And I always am like one of the first people on, and I know that that's not it because like I've been on longer flights or larger flights, sorry, that have taken not as much time to board people. It was just I don't know. It was a little it was a long day. And then, I get home to this airport. My meet and assist is there with a wheelchair. It's funny. No, but this guy was super nice. Shout out to him, by the way. He seemed like a pretty chill guy. He's moving to Japan. I wish him the best of luck out there. He apparently has a cousin that just finished with the Navy, and he's gonna go live with him for, like, a year and a half or something and find a job out there, and I wish I were that guy. Um, and I stupidly asked him if he was going to Japan for work. No, this is his work. His work is whatever he does at the airport. Uh Anyway, luckily my luggage was fine. I was able to track it the whole way on the Delta app, so I knew that it got on the plane and off the plane and everything, and it was fine. I've never lost luggage, knock on wood. I mean, like they've rerouted my luggage, I think. No, I was rerouted once, but my luggage was not on that plane, but it showed up at around the same time that I did at my destination. So that was good. I don't know. I listen, I love flying. I love traveling, but sometimes doing it by yourself, if you're a person who like relies on assistance, like if you're a person with a disability, it can be very stressful. Also, when I was at the airport in New York going to Boston, I had asked the gate agent if I could have some assistance finding my seat. And she was like, "You should have told that to us when you got here, like, into the airport." And I was like, I came off a plane. I just got here. Please just say yes." Uh, so, I don't know. But anyway, um, basically another thing. When I was at Boston, I don't think I mentioned this. So I was at Boston. I used the little kiosk thing to check my bag, which I had never done before. And by I mean my aunt like read the screen for me and printed out the label, and I affixed it to checked bag. But, um, did the little thingy, went to the check-in desk, had them check my bag, 'cause of course I already checked in online. I had the QR code on my phone for the boarding pass and blah, blah, blah. And then, I tell them I need a meet and assist to get me to the gate, and then I have TSA pre-check, and I kept repeating, "I have TSA pre-check," over and over and over and over and over again, because I did not wanna get into the regular TSA line when I have TSA pre-check, because I paid for 5 years of TSA pre-check. So, this guy who's my meet and assist shows up. Now they all have tablets. I don't know if it was like an iPad or whatever it was, but for some reason they always have to scan boarding passes to like put into the system that they're assisting this person. So his tablet was not working and he's fiddling around with it. Now, I had arrived very early to the airport. Well, not very, but I arrived with a lot of time to this airport to spare. So I was not worried about missing my flight. But my aunt was still there. So she and I are just like looking at each other because like this man is still fiddling with his tablet because the thing is not coming up to be able to scan my boarding pass. So eventually he's like, I can't figure it out. Let's go. And I'm like, okay, is it really that important that you scan my boarding pass, sir? Like, genuinely, I don't know. Like, I asked them why once, and they were like, to show that we did the job. And it's like, okay, I guess. But at the same point, if it's not working, there's really nothing you can do about it. Oh my God. I did that when I had more vision before I went through vision loss recently. I should have read this message earlier. What did you do, Delaney? You did what? You went through the airport by yourself? Because that gives me anxiety. um, before anybody says anything, I know I can use Ira or Be My Eyes or something. I don't want to. And that's just me being stubborn. And also, it really drains my phone battery. Just thinking about the anxiety of this makes my head spin. So sorry I had to go through that. I've been through worse. Have I told you guys the story about when my flight to London was like delayed by like 15 hours to London. So I show up. This was like 11 years ago. So I show up to the airport for a very, very early flight because, I'm going to England and you got to show up early for international travel. And I didn't have TSA pre-check and I was a minor traveling by myself because I wasn't quite yet 18. So I show up, blah, blah, blah. Nothing had said that my flight was delayed. We get there, we check in. The lady at the check-in desk is like, "That flight is delayed by, like, I don't know, 12 hours or something." Oh, zoomed in with my camera on my phone to look at things. I do that a lot. Like, I do that so often. Or I'll zoom in and I'll take a picture so then I can, like, just look at it easier because sometimes if you zoom in far enough, like, it's not the stability of the camera can kinda, like, go a little weird, in my opinion. Maybe I'm just crazy. Anyway, so my flight to London was delayed by, like, 10 hours or something ridiculous. Now, I lived 20 minutes from the airport. They were like, "Oh, we'll put you up in a hotel," and I was like, "I'm going home. I'll be back later, bye." So I went home. Now my flight was supposed to leave at, like, I don't know, 7 a.m. Like, an early time in the morning, but early enough that I had to get up really early and go to it. Like, go to the airport because, international travel. So I get to the airport again later that day. I go and I go to the check-in desk, and, of course, I have to wait forever for a meet and assist person who ended up being somebody from the actual, like, airline. Because a lot of the people who are meet and assists are contracted out through the airport, but this person worked for whatever airline I was taking. I wanna say it was British Airways, I don't remember. And she was fantastic, I loved her. But, so I'm sitting there, I'm waiting forever for this meet and assist lady. I finally get to my gate, after going through TSA and all the extra whatever I had to go through to travel internationally. And then I find out that my flight is delayed for another like few hours. So I want to say that originally it was supposed to be taking off like before 7 p.m. And I don't think I left the airport. Like, I don't think I left on that plane until, like, at least 9 or 10 at night, and it was like a night flight. So I lost a whole day basically of my, vacation because I was supposed to get there, like, that well, wait, let me see. If my flight was, like, 7 hours or something, and it was supposed to leave early in the morning, and then there was a 6-hour time difference. I was supposed to get there, like, sometime in the afternoon or something, I don't know, but I didn't end up getting there until the following morning, UK time, and it was just I mean, I'm glad that I didn't have anything, like, planned, like, ticketed things that I had paid for, like, right when I got there, otherwise that would have been a disaster, but I don't and I think that the reason why the plane was delayed was, like, lightning struck it or something weird, which is a very valid reason to, like, delay a whole flight by a day, uh, but I it was just that was frustrating because I was by myself, which, like, in this situation last week, I was also by myself, but I had never traveled internationally before. This was, like, in 2011. I didn't have an iPhone or any smartphone really, so I had this, like, little dinky cell phone, that I was, trying to keep charged that I couldn't even use, obviously, when I got to England because, like, it was 2011, um, and I have Verizon, um but I know that's different. So anyway, it was a long I don't wish that on anyone. However, my boyfriend has way worse flight delay stories that he could share because he shared some with me before and they sounded horrendous. But anyway, so I've wanted to do this like last week, shortly after I got back, but a few things got in the way. And now I'm here talking to all of you about the fiasco that I dealt with at the airport the last time I flew. And what's frustrating to me is that because I live somewhere that, like so my closest airport, like I said, is a regional airport, like, it's a little teeny tiny one. The 2 closest ones are actually. I think that the closest, like, big international airport might be Richmond. I don't know. I think I only flew into Richmond, like, once. No, I never flew into Richmond. What am I talking about? But, it's, like, an hour away, so that's not close. So, because of that, there are not a whole lot of direct flights to a lot of places. And I know that that's like also just an airline thing in general. They're cutting back on a lot of direct service and whatever. But it was really frustrating because I had a layover. And I try to get layovers that are at least an hour and a half because the plane starts boarding like about a half hour before it takes off. And I'm usually one of the first people on that plane. And I want to give myself time because I know usually I do see the meet and assist person right when I get off, but occasionally they're not there. And so then I have to wait around like a, you know, frustrated person waiting for somebody to show up and show me where my gate is. And then they get mad at me that I don't want to sit in the wheelchair. So I'm going to be flying up again in about a month and a half ish. I was invited to a friend's birthday party in Boston the weekend of Memorial Day, and I'm going to be up there for a long period of time anyway. So I need to start looking at flights, and I was looking at flights like a week ago just to like price them out, and I literally found one direct flight. Like one direct itinerary for like a round trip, but I'm going to be booking one way just because of circumstances right now. And so literally this itinerary, one flight there, one flight back. There were like no options. It was really bizarre. Anyway, so I was invited to a friend's birthday party in Boston the weekend of Memorial Day, and I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't seen these people since around Christmas. So that'll be fun. Have you tried American Airlines? They seem to be pretty good with direct flights. Yeah, so the only airlines that really fly out of my home airport are Delta and American, and I found that the most direct flights out of here, at least, are on Delta. which is really weird. I think it depends on, like, where you're from and where you're going to. Cause like, for example, well, I shouldn't say the only. There are a couple more airlines that fly out of here, like JetBlue occasionally and Allegiant occasionally, but I've never flown Allegiant. I don't really want to. Um, but I fly Delta a lot, and unfortunately, like, that's just the nature of airlines right now in airports, is that, like, there are not a whole lot of direct flights. So, I don't know. It was just really weird. Anyway, part of the other reason why I wanted to do this live stream was because I wanted to answer any questions you guys had about my Hawaii trip that I took like 4 months ago. I know it's been a really long time, and I know that things have probably changed because, like, when I was in Hawaii, they had a lot of really strict COVID policies, and I think that they're a little more lax about that now, potentially. Let me see. True American seems to do a lot of them out of Erie and Charlotte, from what I've gathered, because that's where my boyfriend has out of when he's coming here. Yeah, see, I am not near Charlotte at all. How far is Charlotte from me? Let me see. How far? It is, driving wise, 5.5 hours. That is not close at all. But actually, I never knew that. I thought it was a little closer for some reason. I didn't realize it was that far. Anyway, my boyfriend flies out of the Honolulu International Airport, but that's going to be stopping soon because he got a job recently where he has to move because it's a hybrid position. So he will be living up near DC, kind of, which is very exciting for both of us because that is relatively not that far. I mean, it's like 4 or 5 hour drive on a good day, but it's a lot closer than where he is now. Agree so much about Ira. Yeah, I like Ira. I mean, I have a lot of opinions about Ira, but I like them a lot considering that I did some social media marketing for them for a while when they had the pilot program with the MBTA. But I just don't use them as a service, which I mean, I did in the past. I have not recently. And part of the thing is like I don't they only have like the free 5-minute call thing, which, to be quite frank and honest, I've said in the past, I think that they should have had implemented in the first place. I don't think they should have had free unlimited calls from the get-go. That is my opinion. Me as a person who does not have a business degree and know anything about business development, but it's a bad business model, and then they had to go to 5-minute caps on, calls, and I think it's limited now, right? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. If you use Ira regularly, it's like once every 24 hours if you're a guest, right? But if you're an explorer, you can do them, like, a certain amount of times a day, or are they unlimited per day? I am too I cannot be bothered to look this up. For those of you who don't know and probably think I'm crazy, Ira is an app for, well, I guess anybody, but mainly for people who are blind or visually impaired, and it is on your smartphone. It connects you to somebody who's sighted and works for Ira. They call them agents, and they can see and hear what we can see and hear from our phone's camera and microphone. And they used to have a pair of smart glasses that had like a little camera in them that they were like selling to use with their service. I'm pretty sure they don't do that anymore. I still get the Ira newsletters in my email. I do not really read them. Um, but they have a free account and they have a paid account, and the paid accounts vary by how many minutes you want, and it's, in my opinion, a lot of money, per month, but that's just me. I've missed some messages. My sister used to be a Republican airline flight attendant. Flew with American, Delta, and United Airways, but now she's flight attendant on Southwest. That's cool. So do you get, like, discounted flights? Like, does she give you, like, a buddy pass occasionally for, like, a or, like, standby or something? I don't know how that works. I don't know anybody. Well, I one of my cousins is a pilot, like, one of my second cousins, so, like, not immediate cousin. Not that it really makes a difference, but he's a pilot, and he flies for, like, a little teeny tiny airline. I don't know where he currently lives, out in, like, the Midwest somewhere. Um, I don't know what airline. Hello, Jordan. But, I don't know anybody else who works in the airline industry. Yeah, we usually drive through Virginia when my mom and I are going to South Carolina and North Carolina. It's a pretty good distance. Virginia is like our halfway mark. Yeah, that sounds about right. When I drive up to Boston, we stop either in Connecticut or New Jersey, depending on the situation, and do like a 2-day trip because it's like a 13-hour drive and it's really painful. Which is why I'm flying up there. I cannot deal with the drive. I know, like, I'm complaining, but it's a lot to sit in the car for 13 hours and, like, not, I mean, over 2 days, it's a little bearable, but it's just a long journey. So does anybody have an answer for me on this whole IRA thing? Because I I don't know. I know that, like, um that they are covering the Ukraine concert, my god. They're covering the Ukraine benefit concert soon, whenever that is happening, I think, like, next week or something, because I keep getting emails about it and seeing it on social media, which is really exciting. But other than that, I don't know what, like, their current MO is, and honestly, I think they made a mistake with the glasses. Like, I don't know why they got rid of the glasses, because I mean, I didn't own them, but I tried them. If you guys wanna actually, let me let me paste the link in chat. If you guys, don't know, when I was at the ACB convention in 2019, I tried the IRA glasses, and I had an IRA agent film me, and I must find that video and paste the link in chat. There we go, found it. Okay, so I they were kind of clunky on me personally. Here's the video, but um, watch that after I'm done talking to you, please. So I just think that it was a better hands-free solution than having your phone in a pouch around your neck or something, because like, and realistically, who was doing that? Like, I only know a handful of people at the time when everybody was using IRA that, like, used a phone pouch. I know a friend from South Carolina. Uh, Jordan, I'm not quite sure what you're trying to say in your message. I think you might have a few typos, my friend. But that's really cool that you have a friend who lives in South Carolina. Um, Anyway, so I got a phone pouch from them that I don't think I have anymore, and it was just not my favorite thing. I tried it, and keep in mind, now I have an iPhone 11 now, and it's not lightweight. At the time, I had an iPhone 6S, and then I got an iPhone 11, like, 2 months later. Like, this was back in 2019. So, I've had this phone for a few years. It's not a lightweight phone. Like, it can do some damage. Um, so but, like, to have it I don't know. It just doesn't seem comfortable to be wearing it in a pouch around your neck when they could have just kept the glasses. And I don't know if the glasses just were not selling that well or if they were just not practical. Because I know from people who've used them that the little like phone that they got to use with them was not that great. Like, I heard a lot of stories from people that it was crashing a lot or that there was no, connection, like, there was no reception on that cell phone versus, like, their personal phone, which I think is stupid. In my opinion, with the whole glasses thing, and I've said this before, I sound like a broken record, they should have just made it so you could tether it to your own phone instead of giving out a phone to use with them because that's what you're paying for. You're paying for the phone, the brunt of the cost for the glasses. You're not paying for the glasses, you're paying for the phone. And I swear to God, I heard some people who work at IRA say that they were going to potentially start using Bose frames or they were looking into Bose frames. And I was contacted about that personally, and I don't know if I'm under an NDA about that, so I'm going to stop talking, but this was quite a few years ago. So anyway, I don't know if they ever do think in the future that they're gonna bring back the glasses, but it would be nice. But now I'm thinking, like, who would pay for them? So to my knowledge, currently, IRA lets you make a free 5-minute call unless you're at an access location. Most airports are. I don't know if my home airport is. I know for a fact that Boston is. I know that like a lot of major airports are, but I don't know if it's like every one in the United States. And I don't have the app on my phone anymore. So, also, I haven't logged into it in a couple of years and I thought I saw something that they, like, changed their onboarding process for users, so I'm wondering if I were to download the app again and log in again, like, with my guest account or whatever, if I even have a login for that, I don't know. If they would make me go through the onboarding process again, because I already had to go through it twice for some reason. The first time I went through it with the agent, she didn't put any of my information in the system. So then the first call that I did, when I actually needed, like, guidance, the guy was, like, doing my whole onboarding thing, and I was like, "I just did this yesterday with a different agent." I was saying, "I know a friend from South Carolina." Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Kinda, she has to pay so much to get them. They're only for parents, significant others, and children. Oh, that makes sense. So it's not, like, for siblings, it's just for, like well, that's kinda stupid, that doesn't make sense. You would think that that these tickets would be for "Can you please explain exactly what the ACB is?" Yes. So, do you know what the NFB is? And if you don't, I can talk about that too. And I did a panel actually on this a couple of years ago with a few other content creators, and I will link that. It was a live stream and it was kind of long, so I don't know if you want to sit through it, but I can put the link in chat as well if you want to check it out eventually. ACB is the American Council of the Blind. It is a consumer advocacy organization, and they focus a lot on advocacy efforts for people who are blind and low vision. And everybody like on the board of the organization is blind and low vision. Like it's a nonprofit. So they have affiliates all over the US for states. And they also have a few special interest affiliates like LGBT Pride and Guide Dog Users and multicultural like affairs committee and things like that. Yes, that made sense. That made sense, Delaney. Here's the link to that panel. I'm also going to put the link to ACB's website, which can probably explain better than what I did. So basically, the ACB, I can just read off of their website. What am I saying? All right. About us. Our philosophy. We accept all people who are blind or visually impaired, regardless of their skills or abilities. We believe that people who are blind or visually impaired should strive to be the best they can be. Bear with me, I'm using screen magnification and struggling. And we believe that each blind or visually impaired person has the right and responsibility to define success on his or her own terms. Put either way, we do not believe that there is a single right way to be blind. Now, I'm going to shock you guys for a minute. Please, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. The NFB cannot relate. To my knowledge, at least as of a few years ago, the philosophy with the NFB is that there is a certain mold for a blind person and you have to fit into it or we don't like you. And that sounds extreme. It's not that extreme. But they basically kind of think that that blind people have to fit into a certain ideal and this is not it. We believe that it is fundamental responsibility of government at every level. I'm reading from the ACB website again, of every level to provide a framework of laws, policies, infrastructure, tools, and training that permits people who are blind or visually impaired to participate equally in all aspects of society, including education, employment, civic, and spiritual life. We believe this is the last bullet point in their philosophy, and then they have a bunch of national advocacy efforts listed too, which I'm not going to go through all of them. We believe a strong national ACB organization exists to establish and promote advocacy priorities and to guide and support our state and special interest affiliates, but we believe in the autonomy of our state and special interest affiliates for determining and acting in accordance with the best interests of their individual members and chapters. Put simply, the ACB national organization exists to meet the needs of our individual members, local chapters, and state and special interest affiliates. The NFB is the National Federation of the Blind. They are the other organization, and I would not pay money for that, and it's crazy. Are you talking about ACB or IRA? Because I agree with you about not paying for IRA, but I am a member of ACB at my state level, and when I say my state, I mean I still pay dues for Massachusetts because I'm still heavily involved in the Massachusetts affiliate, which means that I am also considered a member of ACB. And I also am a member of ACB's Next Generation affiliate, which is for young professionals, like basically anyone between the ages of 26 and 40. And you can also be a student. You don't have to be working in order to be a member, obviously. But ACB basically is a consumer advocacy organization for people who are blind or visually impaired, run by people who are blind and visually impaired. And they have a lot of advocacy efforts, such as audio description on Netflix and Hulu and streaming apps and TV and making apps accessible. Transit infrastructure, like public transit infrastructure in the United States. And various other, I can't, there's a lot. Friend used to work for Southwest, and I got buddy passes sometimes for California flights. Well, that's nice. I cannot relate. But I'm happy for you. That's great. That's really cool. So I went to an NFB event many, many years ago, back in 2009, and it was a youth event, and I had a fun time. However, I didn't really vibe with some of their philosophy, and I felt like they kept trying to push their philosophy on me. And that's not to say I don't like NFB members. I'm friends with a lot of people who are in NFB. I just don't agree with a lot of their philosophies. Like a lot of the general consensus sometimes is that you have to have a cane that goes up to the bridge of your nose, like that's that tall. I don't. Hello, Fawn. My cane goes up to my chest because that's what I'm comfortable with. And I know there was a period of time where they were not like, gung ho about guide dogs. I know that that's changed. I was yelled at by an NFB member a long time ago that they have an entire guide dogs affiliate. So, basically, these organizations hold a national convention every year. The last few years, they've been virtual. This year, NFBs, I think, is in person fully. Please, somebody who knows more than me, tell me if I'm wrong because someone on the ACB board or no, someone on the Bay State board said that it was fully in person this year. Or maybe somebody on the ACB board did. The ACB convention is hybrid, so you can do it in person or stay home and do it virtually. And from what I have been gathering through the grapevine, I personally only know like 3 people who are going to the ACB convention this year in person, and I don't know who's gonna be listening on home and at home on Zoom or on their, ACB media website or app or whatever, but I'm not going to Nebraska, and that's another thing I wanna talk about really quick, um, is that this year's ACB convention is in Omaha, Nebraska. I do not know where the heck the NFB convention is this year. It might be in Texas. I could be wrong. Um, but they had this planned out a long time ago. COVID canceled last year's, which was supposed to be in Phoenix, which really bummed me out, and the year before because of, COVID. So this year it's in Nebraska. Next year it's in Schaumburg, Illinois, which is like right outside Chicago, which I am going to in 2023. But not a lot of people are going. And I want to say a little bit about why I think that might be. Not just because of the location, but because of the pandemic. And these are my personal opinions. So ACB was streaming their board meeting. Oh, by the way, Delaney, did I answer that for you? Because like I can try and go a little more in depth into like what the actual organization is. But if you need like more information, I can try to answer that for you. But their website is probably your best bet to like get like actual info. So ACB had a board meeting on April 1st. I was at my aunt's. I was like screaming at my computer, not literally screaming, but they were streaming this board meeting so everybody could listen to it, like who, was at home. And they were talking about national convention. So they had a vote as do you have to pay to be in each individual part of the group? How much are you paying if you don't mind me asking? I want to join, but I am unsure. That's totally valid. So you can be a member at large of ACB. I I can't remember what ACB dues are for at large members, but I pay $15 to be a member of the Bay State Council of the Blind. And those are my dues like every year. Or I could pay, I think, like $250 to be a member for life, which covers my dues for, like, my whole life, or at least 30 years, I can't remember. But I pay $15 a year for that, and I pay, I wanna say $20 for ACB Next Generation. I will look in my PayPal statement because I still have that. I have new emails. Now live on your channel. Yes, I know. Why is YouTube emailing me that I'm live? Like, I know I'm live. Alright, let me find this let me find this PayPal statement. I wanna say that's $20. So because they're 2 different affiliates, that means that I'm paying 2 different treasuries, basically, but it all goes to national. So even if I didn't wanna be a member of Next Gen, I could still pay for Bay State, and I'm still considered a member of ACB, which means that I can vote, and it means that I get a reduced rate for, registration fees and things like that at national convention. Um, but same thing, if I wanted to stop paying for Bay State and just pay for Next Gen, same thing. If I wanted to just be a member of ACB at large, same thing. I've been a member of the Massachusetts affiliate for a long time. I've not contacted anyone in the Virginia affiliate only because I heard that why can't I find this? See for your donation. Hmm, maybe I typed in the wrong thing. Anyway, um, I God, what was I saying? Oh, I contacted a board member of the Virginia affiliate asking if they knew of anyone who was a member and lived in my area, like a part of a local chapter. And her answer was that they were apparently contacting people for like a few years, but nobody responded. And I don't know if I believe that. I mean, maybe, but I am still a member of the Massachusetts affiliate. I am on the publications committee. I do their newsletter every month that goes up on the website and in an email announce list. I like am the editor of the whole newsletter. So like I compile it and everything. And I am on a couple of other committees. I used to be a board member, but then I moved and nobody realized that I could have still been a board member even though I moved because it was not in the Constitution that you had to live in, um, Massachusetts. Renewing ACB Next Generation dues. $15. Right, so I'm paying $15 for Bay State and 15 for Next Gen, so I'm paying $30 every year to be a member of both of these affiliates. And if I wanted to be a member of Guide Dog Users, even though I'm no longer a guide dog handler, it doesn't matter. I would be paying like however for them. Some people are in a lot of affiliates, and the affiliate dues depends on which affiliate it is. Like for example, there's like a lawyers and attorneys one. I think that their affiliate dues are $40 a year or something. I could be completely wrong, but basically that gives you the ability to be able to vote. And so, like for example, that's cool. You edit the newsletter. It is cool. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I've been doing it since like October. And if you, I'm a little wary about posting the link, but honestly, it's on the website anyway, so people will see it regardless. Let me post the link to the recent one. They come out on the 25th of every month. This one's from March. I am strongly against guide dog discrimination and I want to help. I'm not discriminating against guide dogs. I don't know if the NFB still is. Please take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, but I agree. So I'm from Tennessee and I'm 28 years old. I don't know what part of the group I would be in. You could contact your state president to get more information because I know that there's a Tennessee affiliate and they might have local chapters. I could be wrong. Um, there's a students affiliate. If you're a student, you don't have to be a member. But the Next Gen affiliate, which I am a member of, my boyfriend is on the board for Next Generation, and he is also like a committee chair and does a few other things for them. Um, they are basically for people who don't fit into anywhere else in ACB, but are within a certain age range. So you and I are the same age, Delaney. And a lot of people within the Next Generation affiliate are roughly around that age too, like 20s, 30s, because a lot of members of ACB are older, which to my knowledge is not really like that much of a thing with NFB. NFB kind of has ages like all over the place. ACB, the membership is generally a lot older. And when I say older, I mean like 40s, 50s, 60s, like retirement age sometimes, which is why the Next Generation affiliate was brought into play because like there are a lot of people our age in our 20s and 30s, even whatever we're doing, if we're a student or working or whatever, that don't really have a whole lot in common with other people in ACB, and also focusing on concerns regarding like this age group, like employment and student, like student issues, like if you're in grad school, for example. Note, I have been approved for a guide dog. Oh, you have? Oh, that's great. Okay. I'm a previous guide dog handler. So, my dog actually is behind me somewhere. She's retired. Um, she's great. I love her. Um, I might go back and get another dog at some point, but not now because I don't feel like I am doing enough to warrant getting one. And I want to wait until I'm a little more established. And right now, where I live, there's like, I'm not near public transit again because this is how my life is right now. And I don't it's just I don't think it would be worth it for me personally to go back and get another dog right now, but I would like to go get another one in the future. Um, Preferably when I have more of a routine and am living, like, in a more urban area, like in a city, basically. I live in a city, but I live in, like, a suburban part of a city. Um, what was I saying? Oh my god. Oh, so national convention. So, on this board meeting that ACB was streaming a couple of weeks ago, they were talking about national convention and whether to hold it full virtual or keep the hybrid model. And they realized, and I'm saying this because all this information is already out there. You can go and listen to it. I'm sure it's like archived as a podcast. Houston, Tony, you're saying that the NFB convention is going to be in Houston this year? Because I think that ACB is going to be in Houston in 2025, potentially. Because I know this year's Omaha, next year is back to Schaumburg. They're doing the 2020 convention, but, like, next year because they were able to negotiate with the hotel, and then after that, it is Jacksonville, Florida, which I'm excited about because Ankar has never been to Disney World, and, we're gonna go to Disney after convention. Um, and then I think it's in Jacksonville that they enter into a negotiation with the Hyatt, which means that every ACB convention, like from Jacksonville onward until whenever their contract ends, is going to be at a Hyatt somewhere, which I'm very excited about. And I want to say that in 2025, it's going to be in Houston. Someone said that. Oh, goodness. My parents are home. My dog may or may not start barking. Wait, are they home? Yes, they are. That was the garage door. One moment. All right, hello. Anyway, what was I saying? So they're talking about COVID, and they are talking about a few different models that they have for convention, and one of them is that they are going to have a masked section and an unmasked section in the ballrooms for like the general session and stuff, and for any breakout sessions. And I think that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life because the virus can still travel if you're sitting in a room with a bunch of unmasked people. It doesn't make any sense. Um, they're also going to require proof of vaccination status, which I think is great, or proof of a negative COVID test, which I also think is great. So if you're not vaccinated, you need to show a negative PCR test. Somebody on the board didn't realize that a PCR test and an at-home rapid test were not the same thing. Like they thought they were the same thing. So that had to be clarified. And they have to have security. What happens with the money that you pay? Like, where does it all go? So that goes into the treasury for each affiliate, and they use that money to like do convention programming or to do like various social events or if like they have like it basically is a budget. Like your dues directly support the nonprofit. So, for example, the dues that I pay for Bay State allows Bay State to be able to host like its state conventions twice a year and to pay for like the Zoom account because they have like a pro Zoom account and a webinar Zoom account that they use for like all the virtual stuff. Um, for other affiliates, it's gonna depend on, like, what the affiliate is and what their needs are, and I know that some of that money goes to, like, an auction item that they might donate to the national auction because the national convention has, like, an auction every year, and anybody can participate in that. You don't have to be at convention to, like, bid or participate in the auction. So the dues go back to the nonprofit directly and help like to be able to support various initiatives that the nonprofit is doing. Like if there's like a white cane day event in your state, I know that Massachusetts has one. I don't know if like other I think other states do. Um so, like, for example, your state affiliate might have a presence there. They might make a donation to, like, some white cane initiative or some other, like, advocacy initiative on behalf of the affiliate. Like, that's where all the money goes to, basically, is to be able to, like, um, help in whatever initiatives that they are doing, like, whoever they have to pay, like, for convention space or for anything like that. Does that answer your question? Um, and if it doesn't, I can probably find a better answer for you. Um, so anyway, this mask, this convention thing. So um, the the board realized that because they're going to have these different seating arrangements in these ballrooms, that they need to have security present, which I agree with. Um, but they also said something that I think even makes less sense. So ACB, and I don't know, does somebody who's a member of NFB, Tony, are you a member of NFB? Can you answer this for me? Um, when you've been to NFB conventions in the past, have they had like sighted volunteers? I think someone answered this for me a while ago, but I genuinely can't remember. ACB has sighted volunteers at their convention every year. The last few years for, like, ever, it's been Jehovah's Witnesses, but they are not coming anymore. They decided not to come back after 2019 for some reason, I don't know why, but generally, it's, like, school groups or church groups or people who, like, volunteer their time to help people navigate the hotel and the convention center. Because the hotel, usually, they have to get one that's big and connected to the convention center. So, in Omaha, they've decided that the volunteers are required to wear masks because they're going to be in close proximity with the members, but that masks for members are optional. And I don't understand that because it goes both ways. If me, a person who's visually impaired, has no depth perception, although I have very good spatial awareness, if I approach a volunteer and I need assistance, and I like take their elbow for sighted guide, for example, and I'm not wearing a mask and they are, that is not helping anyone. That is not helping them because, like, God forbid, what if I have am carrying a cold or something, like, and pass it on to them and I don't know that I'm sick? It's just it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand why they wouldn't just make masks mandatory. And they said, because this question came up, that the reason why is because members have come out and said that if they had to wear a mask, they wouldn't go. Like, and I don't know how many members have said this, but I guess it must have been a few. And I'm probably gonna get some hate for this, but I think that is BS. I understand that they're trying to make people happy, but at the same time, there's still a pandemic, and masks help stop the pandemic or curb the pandemic spread. And that is all I'm going to say about that. So prior to this board meeting that they streamed, I didn't know of really anyone who was going. And then after this board meeting streamed, I found out that people were not going, like confirmed not going. So they also guaranteed the hotel a certain amount of rooms, like room nights. And they don't have a whole lot of those room nights. It sounds like maybe about 50 people might have booked their hotel rooms as of like sometime in March. And that's not counting the rooms and suites that are booked by the convention chair for the affiliate presidents and board members and stuff like that, like people who need them. Because a lot of the times an affiliate will have an event and they do it like in the suite that they're staying in, and like they have it open like all week. Um, so they're gonna lose money regardless of holding this in person. Whereas if they held it virtually, they would have lost a lot more because they have to pay the hotel, they have to guarantee the hotel room nights, they have to guarantee the hotel that, people are gonna eat food from the hotel and blah, 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 and, like, tours because they do outside excursions, and, so basically, long story short, I'm not going to Nebraska. Ankara is not going to Nebraska. I think I know, like, the majority of the people I know who are going to Nebraska for the ACB convention this year are from Hawaii, and that's because they always have a big number of people in their affiliate going. I know 2 people from Massachusetts who are confirmed going. 3 actually, but I don't really count one of them because, like, they kinda have to be there. I know 2 who actually, no, 2 of them have to be there. I know 1 person who's going of their own free will, and I am not them. So, I don't even know if I'm gonna do it virtually either. I've listened to the virtual sessions in the past, like last year and the year before when they had them on Zoom because they stream a lot of them, but I don't know. But I'm definitely gonna go in person next year, and I think that going forward, it is going to be hybrid, like, all the time. Like, make it, um they're not gonna, like, make it fully in person because everything has gone hybrid now, so they have to have some sort of hybrid component. So does anyone have questions for me about Hawaii? Because, if not, then I'm just gonna change the title of this when I'm done streaming because this was not a Hawaii Q&A, which is fine. Um, I mean, it's not a big deal. So, I will say that my flights there and back were not pleasant. We had layovers both ways in Atlanta. And for those of you who don't know, Atlanta is like a giant freaking airport. The flight from Atlanta to Hawaii, could have sworn a friend of mine said Houston this year for ACB. No, Houston is in 2025, unconfirmed. This year for ACB, it's Omaha, and I've known this for like 2 years. Um, I thought when you said Houston, I thought you meant that the NFB convention was happening in Houston. This year, it's definitely happening in Omaha, Nebraska. Like, I don't know where your friend got that information, but it's not in Houston, Texas this year. It is in Omaha, Nebraska, where there's nothing to do. Yes, thank you. What all goes on at the convention? It sounds like it would be fun to meet you and others and possibly become friends. Also, you and I both have ROP. So cool. Yeah, I think you said that to me, Delaney, that you also have ROP. That's awesome. I know a lot of people who have it actually, um, which is really funny. Like a good amount of blind people that I meet say they have ROP. Um, so the national convention is a week-long event that is held at a hotel, usually in a major city, and they have a lot of things that go on. I did like a vlog series of the 2019 one when it was in Rochester, New York. Um, but basically, ACB has meetings throughout the week that are optional, you don't have to go to them. A lot of them are free. Usually if there's food being served at an event in the hotel, you have to, like, pay. It's like a ticketed event because they, need to have a head count for food and all that. Um, so they have, like, their business session at the end of the week. This year, it's different because it's a hybrid model, so, like, voting is taking place all week virtually, and they're gonna set up a precinct there, I guess. But usually voting takes place over the course of, like, one afternoon, for, like, a couple of hours. Uh, but that's different this year. So their meetings that they have in the mornings generally are sponsors who speak at the convention. People such as Amazon and Microsoft, Verizon, Freedom Scientific, um, the people who make Zoom text, they changed their name. I can't for the life of me remember. It begins with an S, I think. I and, like, a bunch of, different people who've, like, sponsored the convention. They speak. It's their turn in the spotlight. "You should vlog your time there if you go next year." I will. I wanted to vlog it in 2020, and I was so, so distraught when it was canceled. I mean, that sounds stupid. No, I was really disappointed because, um, it was I was really looking forward to the 2020 convention. They had a lot of fun things that were gonna happen, and then they had to cancel it at the last minute and hold it virtually because of the pandemic. And I'm really happy that they were able to renegotiate with the hotel to have it next year, so it's, like, the same convention as 2020, but, like, next year, which is great because one of the things they're doing is they're gonna go to the Chicago Air and Space Museum, and I'm really looking forward to that. There's an Air and Space Museum there, right? I'm not making that up. I wanna say that that's a thing they're gonna do. Um And basically, the convention, they have meetings all week in the hotel. Affiliates do meetings and like lunches and stuff. And affiliates sometimes have their own business meetings there in person where you can vote. Usually, this is the time where you elect new officers. How much does the convention cost to go? That depends on a lot of things. So, real quick, I'm going to finish describing the convention and then we can go into cost. um, the Um, ACB will set up, like, their own food service location inside of the hotel where they do breakfast and lunch, and they do dinner, like, one night, like a grab and go dinner during the auction, like, before the auction, because they have the national auction. This year, everything is different. The auction is happening, like, the month before convention. It's happening on, like, June 18th or something. And convention is happening, like, the beginning of July. Convention's almost always in July, at the beginning of the month, like, over the 4th. Um, they also have tours that you can go on outside of the hotel to area attractions. For example, when they had it in Minneapolis, we went to the, Walnut Grove, Minnesota, where Laura Ingalls Wilder lived. Um And, like, they had, like, a tour to Sea Life, Minnesota, like, the aquarium. And when we were in Rochester, they did quite a lot. There was this museum that we went to, I can't remember what it was. It was, like, a historical museum, and it was, like, really big. I vlogged it. But it was, like, a really cool the Genesee County Village, that was it. Genesee. That that museum. Um, so all of these things cost money because especially for the tours, they can definitely be pricey because they're paying for, like, the fuel for the bus or buses and, food because they almost always include a lunch and or a dinner depending on how long it is. They usually always have a dinner cruise on, like, a riverboat or something. Um, one of the affiliates always like, sets up a bus to take them to a casino, and there's always a baseball game, like, they always set up, like, a bus to go to a baseball game, and, like, I think they give you, like, a voucher or something to get food from, like, the baseball game. Um, so there's something for everybody. They have, like, chocolate, tours, like, the one that we went to in New York, we made our own truffles. Like, they taught us how to, like, make chocolate truffles, and it was really neat. Um, But anyway, so it costs however much the hotel room is per night, which is in the 90 something range right now. Um, and that is because they get a group rate. Typically, these rooms per night would be exponential because they always have it over the 4th of July week, and that's a heck of a lot of money to pay for a hotel. So because of that, ACB gets a group rate because they promise the hotel X amount of rooms for their group because there's about 1,500-ish people who go to, like, these conventions. So there's that. There's your airfare, so however much that is. And there's food. The food that ACB has at their, like, own food service thing is cheap, and when you pick up your pre-registration materials, they usually include, like, coupons to use at their food service thing on certain days, like $2 off a meal or whatever. Um, but there's the hotel food if you choose to eat in the hotel restaurant or the hotel, like, lounge or whatever, which is notoriously expensive. Excuse me. And usually, I don't know why, but, like, in New York, and I don't know if this is typical, they had a completely different menu for the restaurant for us, like, or no, for the week of convention versus, like, what they normally had available on their website. Because, like, I looked at the hotel beforehand, like, at the dining. So sometimes they cater hotel menus to, like, feed the crowd, I guess, like, to have certain things available and take certain things off, like, for the event, which I think is stupid. And then the tours cost money, like I said, depending on what it is. Usually they can be kinda pricey because, like, you're paying for, like, a bus to take you to and from, and food and admission to wherever the heck you're going. Um, Usually it's to, like, museums, like I said, or baseball or some sort of game or something else that's, like, happening in the area. And then you have other affiliate things. So, like, for example, if an affiliate is having, like, a party at night, but they have food, like, you're probably gonna pay, I don't know, like, $5 or something, like, per ticket to go. If you're a member of the affiliate, it's cheaper. But, like, so, for example, I'm a member of the Next Generation affiliate. If Next Generation has events at convention that cost money to go to, like, if they're having something where they're having food at the event, then because I'm a member, I pay a slightly cheaper amount for my ticket for that event than a non-member would. And they know you're a member because it's in the national database who's a member of what. You cannot fake this. You can become a member at the convention, and that'll be, like, great for the future, but, if you're a member beforehand, that helps cut down the cost of registration. There is a $25 registration fee, like, that's the registration fee for, like, administrative nonsense, and then everything else is add-on. So, like, if you wanted to go to the convention, there's also an exhibit hall. I forgot. It's like a big, like, expo hall where all of these different vendors come. You have, like, people from OrCam and IRA and, Freedom Scientific and the other place that Zoom Text is now, and, like, anybody can have a booth. Some affiliates have booths. A lot of the guide dog schools have booths, and a lot of the guide dog schools come with ambassador dogs that you can take, like, a Juno walk with, usually, if you ask them ahead of time, like, at the convention. Um, like, if you go up to them in the exhibit hall and ask them, "Hey, can I take a Juno walk with your dog? I'm interested in getting a guide dog," like, they can do it with you either then or tell you to come back and do it later. Because I did it once with a poodle, very, very tall poodle. It was really weird, actually. It was with Guide Dogs of the Desert, and I remember it because, like, the dog stopped a good, like, 2 feet before we got to some stairs that went down, and so the trainer was standing there with me, obviously, and she was like, "Okay, now praise the dog," and I was like, "But the stairs are still, like, 2 or 3 feet in front of me, like, I'm not even at the steps. I'm standing here in the middle of the hallway, like, I'm not even at the steps." Um So if you wanna just go to the convention and pay the administrative fee and, like, go to a few events, it's cheaper than going and doing everything, and I don't recommend doing everything because that's really expensive and it will make you very tired and you'll wish that you didn't do it. I signed up for a lot of things the first time I went when it was in Las Vegas. That was my first convention back in 2014, and it was a lot of fun, but it also ran me ragged. Yes, met die at con, avoided meetings. That's because you weren't at the you went for, like, an afternoon, Tony, you weren't even attending the convention. You were not an attendee. We hung out. Um, I have another friend actually who came to the convention when it was in Minnesota, and we hung out. A mutual friend of mine and a few other people that I know, he happened to be living there at the time, and we hung out. And he also was not at a convention attendee, but he could like go to like the convention stuff because like they don't. He didn't register for the convention, but like for example, the student affiliate had a comedian that night, and he just paid, like, to go in to the comedian at the door. It was fine. So, I don't know. Anyway, basically, the bottom line is that the cost of convention can vary depending on what you want to do. So, setting aside the hotel cost and the airline cost, um, the and food, I guess. The cost of convention really just depends on what you decide to sign up for. Um, and like, as of Schaumburg, and I hope this is the same this year and going forward, but as of 2020, they said that if a session didn't have food at it, then it was free. In the past, that hadn't been the case. Affiliates kind of just made up their own rules, which I don't think was fair at all. Um, so basically, if you were going to an event that had food, you had to pay. Like, if you were going to a party or, a luncheon or something and there was a meal being served or there was pizza or whatever, you had to pay, usually. But if it was just, like, an event, like an info session, like Ira was doing some demos and stuff, you could just walk in, it was free. And that's been the case usually, except occasionally affiliates will charge, like, 5 or $10 at the door for nothing, in my opinion, like, not nothing, but, like, for not I don't know, like, just to go in and hang out with people, which I thought was weird. The LGBT affiliate always does a wine tasting every year, and I've done it a few times. I think it's generally the same wine company and roughly the same, um, like, the same tasting, but it was really good. I really enjoyed myself, and that was cheap, and, you got to try wine and eat food. Um I like I said, I've been to convention quite a few times. I've been for like 5 times. I've been to 5 different conventions. I didn't go to in 2017 because it was in Reno, Nevada. I didn't wanna pay $500 round trip for a plane ticket. I still don't wanna pay $500 round trip for a plane ticket to Omaha because that's how much it costs to go to Omaha. Can you believe it? $500 round trip to go to Omaha, Nebraska. Um Not only that, but I'm just not interested in going to convention this year. None of my friends are going, and I'm not a fan of their COVID policies personally, or lack thereof. When I say there, I mean ACBs because I just don't personally agree with what they decided at the board meeting, but that's okay. I hope that they have a good turnout though. I'm really interested to see the post-convention survey that goes out. Every year they send out a survey after convention that kinda, like, gauges how people enjoyed convention, and I'm interested to see the results of that. Not that they, like, really share those, but, like, I wanna know. This year, and I wish this went out to everyone, the Guide Dog Users affiliate made a survey gauging the interest of convention, and it was sent out to the leadership email list, which I am not on. So some people got it, but not everybody. And I guess according to somebody who saw the results, the general consensus was that Not a lot of people were interested in going for various reasons to Omaha, Nebraska, whether it be financial or they didn't want to travel or whatever. They were not coming out and saying they didn't want to go because of COVID. They were just saying that they didn't want to go because of whatever reasons, or that they didn't want to go because it was in Nebraska, because nobody is saying that they don't want to go because it's in Nebraska, except for like a handful of people that I know. Not that Nebraska is a bad place, but I think it would have made more sense if they tried to have it in Lincoln or something, because there's not a whole lot to do in Omaha. And I'm not just saying that, like, I know somebody who lives in Lincoln, and she was like, "Why are they having it in Omaha?" Um, but I am not going. I will be going next year when it is in Illinois, and I will be potentially going to conventions after that in the future, definitely the year after when it is in Jacksonville. And I've made a lot of good friends and connections at these conventions, and I really enjoy them, despite the fact that some of the attendees can be rather annoying at times. Anyway, I guess I can talk now a little bit about Hawaii. My flight there from Atlanta was a little annoying because there was this mom who was sitting like a few rows behind Ankar and I, and she kept yelling at her kid the whole time. Now it was a 9-hour flight. Her kid was quiet. I don't know what the heck he was doing. He was like misbehaving in his seat or something, but she kept like telling him to stop whatever he was doing the whole flight. All I could hear was this lady. And then my flight back, it was just awful. It was an overnight flight. It was really turbulent. It was not fun. It was just, I was not having a good time. Um, I could not sleep. But while I was in Hawaii, it was great. I don't know if you guys saw my videos, but definitely check them out at some point. We had a lot of fun. We could not do Pearl Harbor, which is okay because I will be going back eventually and doing Pearl Harbor eventually. The reason being is that they changed the whole process because of the pandemic. So previously you could just like go. Like you could just walk up and go. But now because of COVID, they have a capacity, which makes sense. Like they have a reduced capacity. You have to get your tickets online in advance. And it's very confusing as to how to do that. Or you can go and wait in a standby line, which you're not guaranteed to get like on the tour that day. And in my opinion, it wasn't worth it, especially because in relation to where I was on Oahu, it was not worth it to go all the way out to Pearl Harbor to wait in a standby line with the like potential of not even going into Pearl Harbor. Um, so we had tried contacting Pearl Harbor, like calling them. We got through to some lady the first day I was there, and she was like, "Go online and buy tickets." That was it. Like, no elaboration. So we did. We tried to do it. Every time we kept doing it, it kept filling up. This happened for a few days. We kept calling like every day. Nobody was answering. Finally, near the end of my trip, some guy at Pearl Harbor answers the phone. Ankar has a conversation with him. I wasn't in the room when it happened, but the guy on the phone said, "Oh, you guys should have booked your tickets like 4 weeks ago because they fill up like 4 weeks in advance or something." Which, okay, that's fine, but I wish that the first lady had said that to us when we had called her, like, the previous week. I mean, again, it's not a big deal. I'm going to go back to Hawaii at some point. I will do Pearl Harbor, but it was just a little frustrating that she was like, "Go online and buy tickets. You do it online." Like, that was it. I I don't know. Um, but the weather was pretty good. It was in like the 70s and 80s, but it felt a lot hotter because of how the sun was. And I didn't get sunburned. I had like a little teeny tiny burn on like the back of my neck, but it wasn't that bad. And it went away like the day after or something. I don't know. But it was really fun. It was very relaxing. We went to a lot of beaches. There was some stuff I didn't film. Like I didn't film the Diamond Head hike, which I talked about in my haul video because it was rough. I'm not used to hiking. I don't hike. That was like the third ever hike that I'd ever taken in my life. And for somebody who's not experienced with hiking, it was difficult. Also, I have asthma. Um And also, I was trying not to trip and fall on my face, so I didn't think I had the ability to safely hold my phone or a camera and film the whole thing. I did take some pictures, and Ankar's dad took pictures, and I did share that footage of, like, the sunrise that was happening, like, right near Diamond Head in that haul video, but, I mean, honestly, it was worth it. I'm glad I did it. I don't know if I would do it again, maybe in the distant future. And coming down, I did fall once. I just, like, I slipped and fell, and I was wearing what I thought were good sneakers. Like, I was wearing, like, regular sneakers with good traction on them, or at least what I thought was good traction. But again, I had never hiked, and, I mean, it was just it was an experience that we had, and I'm glad that I had it, but I would not recommend Diamond Head for everybody. However, there was a couple that was hiking at around the same time as us, and we saw them a few times, mainly coming down because they came down at the same time as us. And then we saw them later when we were getting malasadas. The wife was completely blind and her husband was fully sighted. And so she was like gripping onto him the whole time, obviously, because it's rough terrain. I was very much misled because Ankar told me that the path up Diamond Head was fine and it was stairs and part of it was paved. And yes, part of it was paved, but the rest of it was not easy for me. But I'm glad that I went. You got approved for a guide dog? Dude, that's awesome. Where? Where are you going to get your guide dog? I got mine from Guide Dog Foundation. Um, I was thinking of going to the Seeing Eye for my first guide dog, but I decided against it for a few reasons. Not that they're bad. I know some other people who have low vision and they were not accepted to the Seeing Eye because of their low vision, which was weird. I can never sleep on planes. It's so freaking annoying. Yeah. Generally I can sleep on planes kind of, but like I was just really uncomfortable on the flight. Like, it just I it was not I was having a bad time. Um, it was just not comfortable, and I had really bad cramps, and that did not help at all. So, that was that was fun. Anyway, what was I saying? What was I saying? Oh, so on the hike, Diamond Head was rough. I'm glad that I did it, but it was just it was an experience that I can maybe do again later in life. And then we got malasadas, which was way better. Malasadas are like a Portuguese sweet, like fried. It's like a ball of fried dough, basically, with like a sugar coating on the outside, and some of them are filled with stuff. So like one that I got had like chocolate filling, and then I also got like a plain one that had no filling, and it was just like dipped in the, like, sugar. Then we went earlier in the week. I didn't film it. I never filmed any of the malasadas. Um, but we went earlier in the week and I got 2, and I got 1 regular and I got a guava-filled one, and the guava-filled one was so good. I can't maybe I did get a filled one the second time too, I can't remember, but I know I got a chocolate one. I can't remember what my other one was the second time, but they're, like, not super big. They're, like, I don't know, about the size of, like, a your average no, smaller than your average donut, cause it's like a donut, but, like, without the hole in the middle. So what I liked about Hawaii when I went was that they were requiring proof of vaccination to, like, exist basically inside of indoor spaces. So it well, not the mall, but, like, if we were gonna eat inside anywhere, we had to show proof of vaccination. Um, going there and again, things have changed in the time from I went to, like, now, but going there, we had to fill out a safe travels form, and there's a website, can't remember the URL for it because it was really difficult to find, that we had to go to, and we had to put all of our trip information in. We had to do this individually. So I was going for a vacation. Ankar was going home, and he had to put in that, that he was a resident and he was going home and where he lived, and, upload a picture of his vaccine information. I had to put in my flight info there and back, where I was staying, like the who I was staying with, and um what else? My proof of vaccination, and I think that was it. And then if we didn't have vaccine proof, we had to do like negative COVID test X amount of days in advance. But we had to have it done by a specific provider, like at a specific place, because there were only certain ones that the state of Hawaii was accepting. Leader dog. Oh, that's cool. How delayed am I? Because like I feel like I'm talking, and I guess it varies because my internet is really good, but I feel like I'm talking and asking questions and the chat is like delayed, but maybe that's just me. Um, that's cool. I know a few people who got dogs from there, and I've heard really good things about them. Do you have, well, you just got approved for one today, right? So like you haven't gotten matched yet. You don't know when your class date is. You were like approved. Do you know how long roughly they said that you might have to wait? Because I know it varies depending on, like, the dogs that they have in the string coming up for, like, finishing training, but I've heard that some schools have a really long waiting list because of COVID, and I think that they've done a lot of catch up, but, like, I don't know because I haven't looked into it. Sister and I did Pearl Harbor when we went in January 2018. We also did Diamond Head, and it was really cool, but tiring. Yeah. Diamond Head was very tiring. Ankur and I have been together for about almost 3 years. We, started dating in 2019, around the time of the ACB National Convention. I met him actually at the convention that was in Dallas in 2016 for, like, 2 seconds, 2015 rather, for 2 seconds in an elevator. Like, it was me and him and this other girl. Um, and then I left because I was getting off on my floor. And then I never heard from him again. I never saw him again. And then we were on a Zoom call that the Next Generation affiliate did, and I think they still do every month. It was like a Saturday night Zoom hangout, and usually they're like topic based, but this one wasn't. So it was like me and him and a few other people, and we reconnected through that. And then we became Facebook friends. And then I messaged him like a month, no, 2 months before convention, and I asked him if he wanted to get dinner at some point during convention, me thinking that he would say no, and he said yes, and now here we are. It's a long story, but we're doing good. Um, and he is from Hawaii, but like I said, he is moving back to the mainland. He's not originally from Hawaii, he's not Hawaiian. His parents moved him and his sister there to Hawaii when he was, like, 3 or 2 or 3 for, a job. Like, his dad got a new job, basically, in Hawaii, and they moved from Maryland. And now he's moving to Virginia for a job in a couple of months. He works for Amazon. He does, internal IT support, basically, and it's very exciting. I cannot relate. I do not have the capability to do IT support. So the what was I saying? Oh, when we were going to Hawaii, so our gates changed in Atlanta on our layover. Our terminals changed like twice. So we had to change terminals, which we knew, but we ended up arriving at a different one, and then we had to leave from their international terminal, which was weird because we were going to Hawaii, and Hawaii is part of the United States. But we get there, and some people, when we were sitting at the gate, didn't know that you had to do the safe travels thing like beforehand. Now we you didn't I don't think I can't remember if you had to, like, actually go in and, do it, like, X amount of days before if you were uploading your vaccine info, but we did it, like, 2 days before our trip, like, 2 days before we left, and we put in our vaccine cards, and then we both got emails with QR codes in them that we had to have scanned when we got to Hawaii. So, I guess the people in Atlanta sometimes will do the COVID processing if you're going to well, anywhere you're leaving to go to Hawaii from, they will sometimes do the COVID processing if they have the staff for it. So the gate agent had said that they didn't have the staffing, so we were gonna have to do the COVID processing when we got to Hawaii, which was fine, whatever. It just would have saved us some time because when we got to Hawaii, there was a wicked long line to do COVID processing, and it was just awful. We were waiting for a very long time, and they didn't even look at our QR codes. It was weird. They just looked at our vaccine cards, and that was it. And I don't understand why, because we literally had to fill out all of this information and be in their system, and we got these codes, and it said we had to have them up, and they had to be scanned. They did not do that. They just looked at our vaccine cards and our ID. I don't even think our IDs, just our vaccine cards, and that was it. So I don't know if it was just that day or if it was that particular person that we went to because we did it, like, together, like, at the same table, um, but it was just weird. Coming home, I didn't have to do anything. I just showed up at the airport in Hawaii, and I got on my plane, and I had my layover in Atlanta the next morning, and then I went home. Um, Virginia cannot relate when it comes to COVID safety, especially at that time. Malasadas are really good. I'm sure there are recipes out there for them. I had heard of them from other, YouTube creators and, like, from my boyfriend who gets them every time they hike Diamond Head, which is not as often as you would think. It's, like, occasionally. Um, and I had never had one. There's a place, like, a half hour away from me, like, downtown that has Hawaiian food. It's like a bar and grill, and it's, like, all, like, Hawaiian food, and they have malasadas on their menu, which is funny because it's not Hawaiian, like, malasadas are Portuguese. I thought it was Hawaiian until I Googled it, and, like, the bakery that we went to, which is called Leonard's Bakery, on Oahu, like, they're the malasada people, like, everybody knows who they are. They're the people who make the malasadas, they've been there forever. It says what they are on their website, and it gives you, like, the different flavor options and stuff that they have. And it was really good, and now I really want some. I'll have to figure out how to make them. I'm sure it's not that hard. I can probably do it in the air fryer. I've made beignets in the air fryer before. I think it's kinda similar. I don't know. Anyway, um, what was I gonna say? Something about Hawaii. What I liked was that there, was good public transportation infrastructure on Oahu. I don't think it's like that on other islands, but definitely on Oahu. There was a bus stop, like, right near, Ankar's parents' house, and the bus went pretty much all around the island, except for the day that we went to the Disney resort, that was painful, which I never shared I never shared this story on, in any of my videos, so you guys are getting a treat. So we are going to Aulani, the Disney resort. This was the day that we went to the swap meet. I don't know if you guys saw that video. Um, we're going there, we're on the bus. I had Google mapped it. I was like, "Okay, great. This bus that we should be taking, it should get off, like, it should let us off, like, here. It looks like that's, like, the entrance to the resort, area," because there are, like, a few resorts in this, like, location. It's called Ko'olina, and it's, like, 3 or 4 resorts. Um, and it looked like the bus would take us, like, to the entrance of the resort complex. So we were like, "Okay, great." We got on a different bus that we thought was gonna take us to roughly the same area. It did not. The stop announcement was for Aulani and the Ko'olina Resort. It let us off on the side of the highway, like, 2 miles from or like a mile and a half from the resort. So thank God that both of us have usable vision and our phones as GPSs, and we were able to just walk like crazy people probably along the side of the highway until we got to like um the checkpoint place for the resort. I think where you would like drive up to like say like to ask where you were going to and probably pay to park or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, there was this lady working there. She told us, okay, go in, and it's the second resort because we had to walk past the Four Seasons. So it was fine. We got there, and then we took an Uber back, which is why in the video I said we were taking an Uber back because it was less of a hassle. It was less of a hassle. The Uber driver pulled up outside the lobby. We got in. We went to the mall. We went to Ala Moana Center back in Honolulu, and I had to go into Target and get something. I cannot recall what. And then we went back and got dinner. No, we got poke, actually. We went to Foodland and got poke and then went home. Um, it was just so the driver so we asked the driver too as we were getting off, and he was like, "Just walk straight, you'll find it." And we were like, "Oh." And he wasn't necessarily wrong, but we had to so we crossed the highway, and then we um, walked to the other end of the highway, like, to the other end of the highway, to where we needed to go, and then we had to cross again, I think, like, a few lanes of road, and, there was, like, no cars on the highway at some at oh my god, what am I saying? There were no cars on the highway really at that point, like, where we were, like, when we were getting up to the resort area, which was great, but, like, I was very stressed. Um, I'm glad that I wasn't alone because I would've called an Uber and asked them to pick me up on the side of the highway and take me back to Honolulu. Um, Was it worth it to go to the resort? Yes. Was it worth it to take the bus? No, because it doesn't let you off anywhere near. I don't even know why the stop is labeled that. Like, the automated announcement said it was for the resort complex, and it was like a mile and a half. It dropped us off near a golf course and, like, a residential neighborhood that was all gated off, like, we couldn't go in because we were gonna go into the golf course and ask like, find a person and ask for directions or whatever, but we couldn't. We just had to keep walking, and I just thought that was bizarre. Hey, yeah, thank you, Delaney, I appreciate that. I did see your friend request. That is me that you found on Facebook. Um, that's not weird, however, I don't really accept people that I don't, like, know, in person on Facebook, if like, I hope that that's okay, um, because I mainly use it for interaction with, like, my family because I live pretty far away from most of them now, and some, like, friends from college and stuff. I'm not on Facebook a whole lot. I browse occasionally, and I'll, like, share stuff, but I'm not really super active on Facebook. If you wanna keep up with what I'm doing, follow me on Twitter, and I will get that command in the chat for you. Please work. It didn't work. I have a Nightbot command up, and it didn't work. Okay. I don't know why it didn't work. I have Nightbot on. Anyway, that's my Twitter. I have it linked, um, in the chat. That bothers me now. I have to go into Nightbot and figure out why it didn't work. Oh boy. Anyway, so the cost of airfare for Hawaii was like $1,100, which I thought was a lot, but I don't think it's as much as it could have been because we went after the first of the year, like, we went after the holiday season. I went from mid-January to the end of January. I was there for, like, 2 weeks, and luckily, I was not paying to stay in a hotel, so I was only really paying for airfare and, a few things that we did, like, around the island and food, like, occasionally, like, snacks or whatever, and souvenirs. Um, so that was very helpful, and I would love to go back again at some point. I just don't know when because, like, Ankar's gonna be moving soon-ish, and he only gets, like, a certain amount of time off, obviously, like, from work, and it's so far, and his parents are busy because they both work, a lot, like, a lot. So I would love to go back eventually, and when I do, I will be doing my best to do more vlogging because I know that a lot of the videos I posted were disjointed, and I mean, part of that is just because I kept forgetting to film, and I kinda, like, felt weird at some point, like, during some situations filming things, you know? I don't know. Anyway, I've been live for almost 2 hours now, so I am probably going to get off very soon and go because it is 10:30 at night, and I am getting a little tired. It's been a long day. I haven't been sleeping well. I slept well, like, last night, kind of, but not the night before, and our internet went out last night, which was really frustrating. Like, the whole, like, area had an outage, which sucked because I have white noise playing every night through my Echo, and that stopped, until it came back, like, a half hour later. So I don't know why it went out, and I'm hoping it doesn't do that again because it went out the other night too, but only for, like, a few minutes. Although last night was definitely an area outage because somebody in an adjoining zip code, said the same thing on Twitter last night when I reached out to Verizon. Another consumer said that they also had no service, so that was just fantastic. Also, what was weird was that, like, when it must have been a total service, disruption because when when the internet went out, my cell service got, like, so bad versus now I have, like, 4 bars. Sorry, I see it. A Twitter notification, and I'm so confused. Why am I getting notifications for this person? Who is this? Oh, sorry. I manage, like, multiple Twitter accounts, and I got a notification from one of them, and I realized that it's just Twitter trying to suggest content for me to follow on that account, and I'm not doing that. But anyway, like I said, I am going to head out very soon. It is getting late, and I will see you guys later. Thank you for coming and watching. Bye.